What's up, everybody? I was just trying to let it load for a minute. I don't know. My house is like a barn. Well, my garage is like a barn, so it doesn't have the best Wi-Fi. So yeah, it might be a little bit. Let me make sure I'm on Wi-Fi, so hopefully it'll do its thing. But Monday night, obviously, Monday we are all back together, other than the glass. So from what I'm told, since these windshields are kind of like a flush mount and they kind of sit recessed in there, I guess windshield guys prefer to use their little paddle and use their thing and cut the glue or cut the seal this way from the outside in rather than this way, because if you do it this way, it dents and damages and paint chips all inside the pillar. So the glass guy that pulled the glass said he prefers to do it this way. And unfortunately, when you do it this way and you have it recessed in like that, it normally breaks the corners. So he broke the windshield pulling it out. He did get the back window in. The back window out in one piece. It's up there leaning up against the shelf. But we're going to do an optic armor back window, which should be delivered tomorrow. So we're going to put the optic armor back in the back, and then we're going to do a new windshield in the front, obviously. I didn't want to do optic armor on the windshield because I didn't want to deal with it getting caved in or needed to be braced or anything like that. So I've seen some problems where quarter-mile cars have some issues with the optic armor windshields. So other than the glass, it's back together. It's running. It's driving. I actually drove it without a windshield in it. Didn't get too far because it's pretty unbearable to try to drive without a windshield and the amount of wind, even doing like 20 mile an hour. So I didn't go far, but I did drive it. It runs. It starts. My dash is lit up like a Christmas tree. Now we don't have any airbags or seatbelts, but I'll just have to deal with it. Like John Lund told me today, it's a race car now. So I hit him up trying to see if there was any way we could manipulate this tune or manipulate it in any way. I do have a forescan, so I was trying to see what I could figure out, but John pretty much said, yeah, this is what we got. So I did these carbon covers on the two door bars where you slide my ass in and out. Got to put the carpet back up once I finish some wiring. I just got some mirror block offs not mirrors, my sun visors. So got some block offs for the sun visors. Got to do the harnesses still. But as far as carpets back in, heat, AC still in, all my electronics are back in, radios in, factory steering wheel and airbags, really the last airbag that's left in the car. I pulled the dash one out and I pulled the pillar ones out. So we saved some weight there. Cut the carpet best as I could. Center console went back in. Luckily, I found these little plugs. That's where I used to have the chute handle. Now we have the chute up there. So I think it turned out pretty clean. I'm pretty happy with it. They did a good job. It's painted nice and black. Nice, good job. He took their time and did it nice and tight with the sealing. I had the option to either go under or go over, and I chose over. I think it looks a little bit better when it's tight with the glass and goes up through like that. Still got the GT350 door panels on. There's actually my forescan here that I was trying to mess with shit. I don't really know. But yeah, it all went back together. If anybody ever has to pull a dash, give you a little tip. There's two bolts that go in through the door jambs each way, so two on each side. They're a pretty big pain in the ass. And then two right there, which you got to pull the cowl on the wiper motor. There's two that go in this way, top and bottom. There's one behind the radio that goes down and in. And really, same thing over here. Two coming in through the jam, two going in that way. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 in the middle, 10, 11 through the cow. And that's majority of what will get the dash pretty loose. You got to pull all the center electronics out to get to that one. And you got to pull the glove box and all your panels to get to that one. You got to crawl up underneath it there. So I feel like now that I've done it once, I could do it 100 times, but it was definitely a struggle doing it the first time. So that's where we stand. We're getting ready to go to the beach for Hot Rod Weekend, Ocean City, Maryland, little cruise-in weekend. So I have plans to get the glass Thursday morning back at Ron Rhodes, and then they're going to do the back window and the glass, and then I'm hightailing it from Delaware down to Ocean City from there. So gonna load it up in the trailer tomorrow night, and then head up to Ron Rhodes Thursday morning, and then I'll finally be able to drive it and put some mileage on it and see what's what. So I wish I would have had a camera rolling or kind of showed it when it was a little bit more bare, and you can kind of see a little bit more of the welding and the plates and the body at that point. But I mean, you get a pretty good idea. Once that floor mat goes up in there and that carpet goes up, I mean, we could fit a seat back in here. I'm definitely not buying another Tillet because they're expensive as shit. So might just get a Kirky or something as a passenger seat for now. But yeah, I wish I had the camera rolling when I put it all back together and did kind of like a time lapse or something, but I just couldn't do it and work. And it was kind of a solo mission for me to get it all back together. So I don't know if anybody follows me on Facebook, but I just posted trying to buy a battery. I might try to put a lightweight battery in it. This one kind of sucks ass. It's a factory Ford battery, and it seems to die pretty quick on me. If I'm in there fucking around on Forescan or messing with the N-Gauge or uploading tunes or whatever, I kind of always got to have a charger on it. So I might do a different battery. Maybe that might save me like 20 pounds or so. But it's dirty. It's filthy. Been in a chassis shop getting grinded and sanded and welded and stuff on for 2 weeks, and then it's been here for about 2 weeks prior before that, and then now another week. Haven't cleaned it or nothing, so be excited to clean it all up and see what it looks like all back together. I'm happy with it. I mean, it's an 850 cage. We all know the car goes faster in 850s, but it'll do its job for now. It'll get me in the World Cup, and then maybe sometime over the winter or sometime next year we'll add some bars to it. But hopefully this can get me back to racing for a bit. Not only could I not afford a 25.5 or a 25.3, but Ron Rhodes said he pretty much didn't have the time to do anything like that so quick. I mean, I kind of sprung this on them last minute, so I was happy that they got me in. I wasn't trying to push my luck. They kind of looked at me a little weird once I said, "Can you do it by the beach?" So I was already pushing it, let alone trying to get a funny car cage put in at that time. So for everybody asking why I went with this cage, that is the reason. Money and time, like everything else in the world. But yeah. Oh, also too, I got this cool little 3D printed switch panel box. I'm pretty pumped about. I think that worked out pretty good. I'm not like full-blown race car, but I do have a couple switches that I turn on, like the AMS and the AM and stuff like that. Scavenge pump, air compressors. So pretty pumped about me finding that and how cool that was. Show you guys the window net. Kind of hard to do with one hand, but let me see if I can get it. That's it. So I do like that. It's pretty cool. Yep, so that's it. Just wanted to give an update. I've been posting about trying to get an update on here and let everybody see the car and where it stands and what the plan is and stuff like that. Everybody knows I'm trying to go to World Cup, so it's been grind time. I still plan to try to send the trans out between now and World Cup just to get a quick once-over and a refresh just so I can go down there 100%. So that's still kind of on the to-do list of sending the trans out in between Ocean City and World Cup, because the last thing I want to do is go down to World Cup and have John Lund say that this trans got some worn clutches or it's got some problems, and that kind of limit me on what we can do down there. So after this weekend, have the glass back in, clean it up, go to the beach, come back, pull the trans out probably the day I get back, send it out. I hit up Brett. He's busy working on FL 2K, and he's getting ready for World Cup himself. So he said, no hard feelings. If you got to send it somewhere else, send it somewhere else. So it's going to go somewhere else. They're going to do a refresh. They're going to do a once-over and then send it back to me. And they told me 3-4 day turnaround time. So I'm thinking if I send the trans out when I get back next Monday, Tuesday, he'll have it by the end of the week. They'll have it the following week, and then I'll have it that following week, and that's literally going to put us right to the week of World Cup. So I'm pretty pumped that as long as the trans goes good, we're going to make the race. But I hope that we can go down there in one piece and really put on a show and try to hang with them guys. So if anybody follows me on Facebook and Instagram, I weighed it last night. I got to be 3550 for World Cup. Actually, I got to be 3600 for my turbos and my transmission, but I get a 50-pound weight break for IRS still, so 3550. Weighed it last night. It was 3265. I'm about 200, 220 suited, helmet, everything on, so 3260 plus 220, 3480 and change. And then back windows, 9 pounds, 11 pounds. And then front windshield, 25. So let's say another 35. So that puts me at like 3520-ish. And then full tank of fuel and everything else, top the meth off and stuff, I think we'll be right at 3550, which is pretty good. So I didn't have to really cut anything or remove anything or lose too many amenities other than the airbags. I mean, all my airbags are sitting right up here. All of them are pretty heavy. And I can understand why they do so much weight. I mean, these curtain airbags are pretty heavy a piece. And then the dashboard airbag, the e-brake, the windshield wiper motor. I mean, this kind of little pile here is what I took out with the seatbelts right here. So all of this kind of made up for the cage. I don't know exactly what the cage added. I think Ron Rhodes was thinking 80 pounds, 100 pounds, and we went in there weighing 3260, 3270, and we came back 3260, 3270. So everything I pulled out kind of offset it. Still has AC, still has heat, still has the AC compressor, still has the condenser, the lines, the heater core, still has all that stuff. So I'm pretty happy. I mean, still has back speakers. I mean, I'm sure I could pull them for a few pounds. All these plastics and stuff down the bottom, I'm sure I could pull. Center console I could pull. Door panels I could pull. I mean, I could probably get like another 50, 80 pounds out of it if I really wanted to. Carpet, I think I weighed the carpet. The carpet was like 26 pounds. So, or 16 pounds? 16, yeah, so. What's up, dude? What shock valve do you have in the rear? So I got all Kelly Aiken stuff. Front and rears, they're the Vikings. I don't know if he technically considers them Crusaders or Warriors. I've always been kind of confused on that whole Viking thing with the Crusaders and the Warriors and the difference between the two. I'm sure one's better than the other. But as far as what's on there now, it's just Kelly spec. That's all I can say. They're the triple rears, and then they're his front kind of drag race coilovers, I guess, his high horsepower ones. So as far as the valving, it's kind of just Kelly stuff. And the suspension before this that I broke in Texas on the wheelie, that was Kelly stuff too. So I've never really bought, like, you know, went on the Beefcake or somebody's Lethal's website and just bought like Viking, you know, factory valving. So I think for World Cup we'll probably have like 40 pounds of boost in it. I have not seen 40 yet. I know we got pretty close to 35 on the 64 66s, but we were kind of maxed out there. I know on the dyno on the 64 66s, I had like 32, 33 pounds in them, and then I put 35 in it, and it didn't make any more power. So the 64 66s were kind of tapped out at 32, 34, maybe 35 because of small exhaust housing. And at Texas, I think the most that I put in them was like 32, 33, 34. The big wheelie, it didn't have more in it. It just had more quicker, like it had it quicker, so that's why I did that. But they were like 34 pounds. And then on the 68s, I haven't ran it out the back to know like a high boost number, but we haven't had 40 in it on the 68s. So I think the goal at World Cup will be putting 40 pounds on the 68s and see what they do. I'm excited to finally make a quarter-mile pass in this car. It has not seen the quarter yet on the new turbos. So it's only been to the quarter twice on the 64s, and both of them passes were in Texas. So I did the 68 70s after Texas, and I have not been to the quarter yet. So, but I think John Lund told me that 68's 40, 42, something low 40s or something would be the max. Yeah, I have the 105 stainless housings on the 68 70s. So no valve float. I got RPG hooked me up with the strongest valve springs pack. I think like the 1218 valve springs, kind of the upgraded ones from the 1234s or whatever that everybody runs, kind of your more basic spring. I have the version above that. So the valve springs are definitely strong, and the retainers, and Frankenstein did the heads and stuff like that. So no valve float. I think the only thing honestly now is back pressure, and I think the T3 V-band flange on the turbo manifolds is probably the only restriction that I have right now. How long did the stock motor make 22 pounds? Towards the end of the stock motor, I was on 20, 22, 23, 24 every pass. I mean, I think the 790 pass was probably mid-20s, maybe 24, 25. And it was running around 22, 23, like, all the time. So I think you'll be fine at 22, or definitely more than 15 as long as you have valve springs. So other than that, man, I think that about covers everything. Get the glass back in it. Get the glass back in it. Go to cruising week. Come back, pull the trans. Get ready for World Cup. How many meth nozzles? So I have two. I have two 1,000cc meth nozzles, so I spray 2,000 cc's total. Yeah, if you have the RPG level 3, man, I think that's good. I mean, your heads, as long as you put valve springs and you got, I mean, stock valves are fine. You got valve springs and retainers, and you do head studs. I think the short block will definitely be good for 1,300 to 25 pounds. Just make sure you got the head gaskets, the valve springs, and the head studs to make it all happen. But as far as stock valves, I think people have been pretty fast on that. And then stock hams, I still have stock cams and make like 1,700 now, so cams shouldn't be a problem. Fuel system 8,900. I mean, I have a Ford triple, but I think a Ford double pump system, I think would be good for that. But then you kind of, in my opinion, you can't really ever go too safe or too big with fuel pumps. You can always, run a triple and only power 2 of them or something like that. So moral of the story is I think one thing that you kind of want to overshoot for is fuel, because you never want to have it maxed out or have it at its limit. I had 1300s that maxed out pretty quick, and then I went to 1700s and maxed them out pretty quick, and then now I have 2600s. So kind of wish I would have got 17s or 26s from the start, and it would have saved me a little bit. Transmission and converter. Yep, triple 285. That's what I have now. And they've been good so far. I think Lund has the 295s without some kind of, without some kind of check valve or something. You squeeze a little bit more out of the 295s. But the 285s have been fine so far. So the trans in the converter, the trans is still a 6R80, 6-speed, all 6 gears. It has every billet part that Blue Streak makes. It has the billet input, the planetary, intermediate, all the billet drums. It had one-way clutch, the forward shaft, the reverse shaft. It has the catalog from Daniel and Blue Streak. Daniel's a cool dude, and he's helped me a lot. So it has every part that they make, and I'm trying to get a billet input shaft from them and try to put that in next. The converter is a Circle D 252, custom spec, no lockup, spec'd by Circle D. Reach out to them guys, reach out to Brian at Circle D and told him to set up and told him what I was trying to do and told him it's not really a street car. I'm not really worried about having to lock up and the drivability around town, and he kind of spec'd the converter, and it's been good. Been good ever since. Yeah, I mean, I kind of wish I'd got my hands on some Voodoo heads or some GT350 or GT500 heads when I was building the 5.2 short block, but the price for cores and the price that somebody wanted for just bare Voodoo heads, and then I would have to get them worked by Frankenstein, was a lot more than what I had to pay for. Because remember, I sold the short block that came out of here in full, turnkey, shipped it on a pallet. So I didn't start from anything. So if I did buy heads, I had to buy them as cores, or if I did buy a block, I had to buy it as a core. It's not like I pulled a long block out and went and had it built. So Voodoo heads would have been nice, but just, man, people want a ton of money for them. Pack springs, head studs, kinetic gaskets, they assembled a long block for me. I never did the retainers, though. Is that truly necessary? No, I don't. I think the retainers is just kind of a little kicker to throw in, since you're doing the springs and you already got to pull the retainers, slap the retainers in there. But I don't think they're needed. I'm not an engine expert to know exactly what the purpose of a titanium retainer does versus a stock retainer. I think, obviously it's lightweight, you know what I mean? Like maybe that helps weight-wise or, movement, but I think you'd be fine. No sponsors other than Parker Performance. So Josh Parker Performance Florida, he got on board like about a year ago when we were kind of chasing the 790 and the stock motor stuff. And he said, hey, man, I'm a small-time shop from Florida. I respect what you do. I like the one-man show. I like the one-man army. You seem like a cool dude, and let me get you on board with us. And sent me a ton of clothes, ton of stickers. And now any part that I need, he gives it to me at a sponsorship rate. And he really helps me out with parts and needs, tires. I got the 2600s from him. I got the turbos from him. I got all my tires from him. BMR parts from the wheelie when I had to do no motor mounts and stuff like that. Everything came from Josh. So any part that isn't kind of like one-off or custom, I get from Josh. Josh is a cool dude. He's down in Florida. I wish I was in Florida because it seems like everybody in Florida is cool. I'd be in my backyard with Lund and Parker and everybody that Brett helps me with this car, and here I am up in Maryland, no man's land. So, put 40 pounds in it and see if it goes 750s, 740s at World Cup. The class is supposed to be 720, 730 class. I think last year someone went 20s at World Cup, 720s. And then they wanted to kind of slow it down and separate it a little bit more from Street Fighter. So they supposedly slowed it down this year. But I think that if I can go 40s, I think that I could be competitive. I mean, we all know that the imports have a ton of mile an hour. They just don't have a lot of 60-foot and 330 and eighth. And then we know a lot of the domestic cars, do good up front and then struggle out the back, and that's why they get drove around. So I can't really say, I got 180 mile an hour or 185 mile an hour in the bag, because I've never been in the quarter on these turbos. So I really have no data past the eighth to know what it's going to go out the back. I know it goes 145 plus in the eighth. I just don't know what it's going to do out the back. So, but I think if I can go 740s, 185, something like that, 180s, I think it's good. Based off of what I've ran in the eighth, it should have already ran a 60. If I would have, my personal best eighth mile pass calculates almost exactly to a low 760. I just didn't stay in it because I didn't want to get kicked out and didn't have a cage. So just ran it to the eighth. But it's been, has it been 115 or 116? I don't know if I've been one. I've definitely been 116, 60 foot. I just don't know if I've been 115. So, yeah, if I can get down to 115, 114, and I can build some more boost on the line. These turbos like that cool air and World Cup weather here in a month from now. If I can get more boost on the line, go up in RPM a little bit, go down 114s, 113s, 113, 114, go 480, 480. I think that should be a low 50 or a high 40 without a doubt. So the only thing that I'm worried about is the rear. Still stock rear. I mean, stock. Never been open, never been apart. Literally from the factory, a 315 Super 88 is in this car with axles. So I am going to take two spares with me. And then, of course, they're pretty easy to find if something does happen. Luckily, we got a pretty good parts place here in Maryland called Lee C Parts. He does a lot of Mustang part outs, kind of like your parts farm of Maryland. So worst case, if I do break a rear down there, I should easily be able to find a 315 to swap in. And then with the trans refresh, we won't have to worry about that breaking. I'm not worried about the motor at all. I'm not worried about the turbos at all. So suspension, it really doesn't wheelie no more. I mean, it's going to boil down to, will the rear take what I want to give it? And if it does, I think we'll be all right. I haven't raced this car in good Maryland air yet. I don't know wherever everybody's from that tunes in or watches me or follows me, but Maryland's known, and Maryland International's known for the good DA and the good density altitude and the good boost weather. And this car got assembled in February and went straight to Texas, where it was 70 and humid and rainy and rain for 3 days, and we had a hurricane come through. Then I did the wheelie and it sat all year, and then I fixed it and went racing again in July when it was 100 degrees out. So this motor and this car has not seen the notorious good Maryland air that I'm about to find out at World Cup. So we'll see what it does down there and see how it acts. And Lund's coming to race Grey Goose, so I will have my tuner on site. Brett will be there in kind of a worst case scenario. Really don't want to put that on his plate, but I'm sure he would help me if need be. Rears taken with me, axles taken with me. I'm kind of just like one to just kind of cover my ass, and the kind of work that I do and working like in the customer service field, it's always about covering your ass, in my opinion, because nowadays everybody's trying to out to get you and out scam you. So my mind just works with like covering my ass. So I'm going to take axles, rears, fluid, oil change. It's a turbo car. You don't even change spark plugs like that. And let me see. Got 3 sets of plugs. Yeah, it's like $200 in plugs sitting there. So I got extra coils. I mean, everything that I've ever taken off this car is kind of on those 2 shelves. So best believe that I'm going to take everything that I need when I go down there as a worst case scenario. I think it's still a street car. I mean, heat, AC, power steering, power windows, Bluetooth, Apple radio. I really don't feel like it's too far gone. If I really, really wanted to, right there's the 2 back plastics. Put them back in the sides. That right there is the speaker cover. There's the rear seat. Rear seat still goes in. Factory seats go back in. I mean, it really could go back to like a full interior street car with a cage. But since I'm outgunned a little bit with this little old 6-speed, I got to go down there and weigh the least amount. So I got to do it for weight. But come car show season next year, you might see this thing pull up with full interior just to do it. I love the GT500 steering wheel. I love the pass-through buttons. I think it looks so clean. Everybody always trying to talk me into getting an aftermarket column and a nice, cool Cletus motion steering wheel and all the cool race buttons and stuff, but I think it looks so clean with the factory wheel and the digital dash and still that. Doors aren't gutted, still have the windows, handles, all that stuff. I've been wanting to sell these, so if anybody wants to buy them, might sell them. I'm tired of moving them around. They're kind of in the way. But, I mean, I could pretty much almost build a Mustang. If somebody brings me a roller, I could probably put it together. It's not including, like, all kind of stuff I got in my ceiling and my basement and all that stuff, too. So still tagged and insured. Still got like basic Geico insurance. Probably bite me in the ass one day. But still street car. I think after World Cup, man, it's just going to be prepping for Texas. Making that long-ass trip again, 30 hours each way. And then after Texas, maybe decide on where we go from here. Close ratio, turbo 400, different converter. Or stick with the 6-speed and do a 9-inch. I'd feel a lot better if this car had a 9-inch in it and I wasn't worried about the rear braking. It's crazy, like, it's like the exact thing that everybody says about it's never ending and car guys are never happy and satisfied, or, you know, my girlfriend tells me all the time, like, are you ever going to be satisfied with the car? It was like stock motor and twins, and then it needed a transmission. Then I built the transmission, then it was like, all right, the weak point's the motor. Then I put the motor in, and it was like, all right, now the car needs a cage because it's going faster. Now it's got a cage, and then now I'm like, yeah, it needs a 9-inch. So maybe after the 9-inch, I'll be happy, but then I'm sure the 6-speed's going to eventually be at its point, and then it'll be a $10,000 turbo 400 and all that jazz. So I don't know. Daniel talks high hopes and Blue Streak, and these 6R guys talk like they're in it for the long run and they're not going to stop making parts and trying to develop stuff until the end. So maybe they can let me hang on for a little bit and I'll keep going at it. I mean, driving around town, this car drives so smooth and it shifts so smooth. If I take off from a red light, you don't even feel or hear all 6 gears going down the road. It's almost like a 1-speed. It is so smooth. It shifts so clean. Whether it's Lund or the build or whatever, I don't know who plays the most part in it, but this trans is great. It just doesn't hold power. All those gears have their weak points. All those shafts and drums, and John likes to get all technical and say the holding capacity and putting the power down and stuff like that. I don't really know exactly, the technical parts inside the transmission, but if they could get that together, I mean, this transmission is nice. It really is. It's just I want to go fast. So once I go 40s, then it'll be trying to go 30s, 20s, 10s, 7.0s. I think I might stop at 7.0s. There was a time when I just wanted to go 8s. Then there was a time I wanted to go 790s. Now here we are trying to go 750s and faster. So, but I'm pretty sure it's like that with everybody. So I guess that wraps it up, man. I think I really don't have nothing to talk about. Cage turned out good. Recommend Rhyme Roads to anybody. Right in Delaware. Kind of in the little click right there of PA, Delaware, Maryland, and New Jersey. Kind of like that little spot where within like an hour each way you can be in like 5 different states. So he's in a good spot for anybody from the Northeast to travel there and get chassis work or race car work, or I would assume they do wiring and body work and paint and everything there. So big shout out though to them getting it done in time. Shout out to Lund for always being my tuner since this started. John probably gets tired of me asking him all stupid questions like, hey, I got a check engine light, can you check it? But definitely would think that this car would not be where it's at without them guys. Will, RPG, couldn't pick a better builder to build a motor. Kelly, suspension, 100% wasn't sure of how this thing would act after the wheelie and this new suspension that he thought of kind of specifically for my car and high horsepower stuff that didn't want to get strapped down and have limiters and stuff. I was a little hesitant on being a believer, but after it went to the track and went 116 with the wheels down on the ground, didn't even come up, not even this much, I no longer worry about the wheelie. I got friends that have wheelied and went all 4 wheels like I did, and now every time the car comes up a little bit, they think it's going to go all the way up and they let off. That was my mindset going into racing this car again, was if it even comes up a little bit, I'm letting off. If I go back to Texas next year and it does another wheelie, I'm letting off. Now, after racing it the 2 times that I've raced it since the wheelie, I don't even, it's not even a thought in my, I don't think I'm going to be concerned with this car wheeling at World Cup at all. It just doesn't come up, and it just doesn't come up now. So thanks to Kelly for making it happen. Kelly, Lund, Brett, Parker Performance, Daniel Blue Streak, Sebastian AMS, Parker Performance, Circle D, True Motorsports for the Stager. Pretty cookie cutter, copy paste like everybody tells me. Everybody says I just copy and pasted this car. So I'm just preaching to the wall right now because everybody should already know my setup because I copied it. Can you upload a clip of the dyno in a short? Yeah, I mean, I think I got a YouTube video up with the dyno in it. I don't think it's a long one. Normally I get to talking a lot and get to rambling, and the video turns from 5 minutes into 50 minutes. But I'm pretty sure the dyno video on all my pages isn't a long video. But it probably would be a good video to make a short out of and get some views and maybe get it shared. So I'll try to do that and get it uploaded. Remember, though, the dyno was only on the 6466s. It made like 1550 and like 1500 torque or 1400 torque. It made really good torque and made really good power on the 64s, and they were tapped out with the little exhaust housings I had on them. I expect that if we were to put it back on the dyno now, it would make like 1800. And who knows, I might get on the dyno again one day, but there was nothing to justify another dyno trip just from changing turbos. If I put cams in it, or we do something with the heads, or I do a different intake manifold, maybe I will get back on the dyno, but changing turbos pretty sure there's some kind of math on how many more pounds of boost and how much power it makes, but I would expect it probably makes another 100, 200 horsepower on the 68s. So if you do see a dyno video, it would be on the 64s. Yeah, that's it. I get asked a lot too, like why I didn't do carbon fenders and doors and stuff. The fenders with the vents, I just don't like. I mean, I got doors, carbon fenders and hood. The fenders with the vents, I don't like. The hood, I would get an OEM replacement hood if it was the exact same shape and had the factory vents in those locations and stuff. But both factory fenders and hood is light already. So I actually think that someone said that the carbon fiber ones weigh more or they weigh the same. I don't think there's a weight loss in them. So $2,000 on fenders and a hood or whatever the cost would be to potentially get heavier or get the same and then worry about rock chips and stuff like that. No, I'm good. I kind of like the way it looks now. 1,500 on stock, yep. So stock GT350 manifold, no boost proof, no sealed, no port, no nothing. Drive a GT350 off the Ford lot, pull the manifold, put it on my car. I literally got this manifold from a technician at Ford that pulled it off to put a blower for a customer on a GT350, and he gave me the stock manifold. He said, hey man, here's a GT350 manifold. You got to have a special throttle body. So here, I went and bought a GT350 throttle body, and it is a bone stock manifold and throttle body on the car. Made her $1,500. Thanks for reminding me though, because here I am talking about the rear, and we might blow an intake manifold to pieces at World Cup. Guess if it happens, it happens. I don't know. But I think after talking with Lund, the most that they've ever made was about what I made, $1,500. So now with the 68s, if it does make 16, 17, 18 like we think, then technically I probably would have the most power made on a factory manifold. Plastic, that is. As far as ET wise, I don't know if anybody's been faster than me on a. Sorry, there's been people faster than me on a boost proofed plastic manifold, but as far as a stock one, I mean that's such a micro record that I don't know if anybody actually keeps track of. But I will say that I don't know of anybody that's made more power or been faster than me ET wise on a plastic untouched manifold. So that gives anybody faith to keep rocking their 18 manifold or their GT350 manifold. I would agree. Keep it on. I don't like the bosses. I think the billet ones are all badass, but for the price tag, just never bought one. Also, my car makes a shitload of torque because of those long runners on a factory manifold. So if anybody knows anything about racing and ET and short track, you know that torque matters. You make 2,000 horsepower with 900 foot-pound of torque. It'd be safe to say that my car making 1,550 horsepower and 1,450 torque probably will beat that 2,000 horsepower car. So the factory manifolds have really nice long runners that keep the torque versus all the billet ones are real short. So it is going to stay plastic manifold until I blow it up, meaning the manifold, not the motor. If somebody gave me a boost proof one, I would try it. I'd put it on. It wouldn't hurt. But to take mine off and send it and get it boost proofed for $600, $700, I would rather just put that money into a billet manifold. So I'm going to let it eat. I asked a couple people what will happen. They think it'll just start to separate. So I don't know if it'll necessarily shatter and blow to pieces, but if it just starts to come apart and then I have like a vacuum leak or a boost leak, maybe that'll be my telltale sign, and then I'll know that it's bad, but hopefully it doesn't like grenade. Yeah, the heads reported Frankenstein did their CNC race port on them. I don't know the exact number. I know that I was told what you benefit by having Frankenstein do the heads versus stock port, and I think it was like 50 or 100 horsepower. It was pretty substantial in my opinion. So will, at RPG, works hand in hand with Frankenstein. The heads were already bare because I bought them as cores. So, meaning like off a motor, like ready to go, nice and clean. So it was easy just to send them to Frankenstein, them do their thing, and then put the motor together. As far as like a running turnkey car, you're driving down the road, racing your car every weekend, and you just want to get the heads ported, pull them off, and go get them ported, I don't think it would be worth doing. But I think if you're already into building a motor and everything to get your heads done, it'd be worth it. So yeah, the manifold is probably restricting me some peak power wise. And then I think those Aldo turbo manifolds with the small T3 V-band flange are probably giving me some back pressure problems. So John has kind of said that from the start, that he wishes I had T4 normal 4-bolt or the big T4 V-band flange. I mean, my turbo flanges are small. You can almost wrap your finger around them. So you got to think all that air and coming out of that big motor, getting choked down to about this much. So people racing by my house, motorcycles. It's like a drag strip out there. All right, well, we're going in like 50 minutes. I didn't even think I'd be on this long, but you guys asked some questions. It was pretty cool. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Hopefully the video saves to my channel, and everybody that couldn't catch the live got to see it or gets to see it at a later time. Anybody coming to World Cup, I'm sure I'll do another video by then, but if you guys are coming to World Cup, I'm going to be there Monday bright and early, the earliest that I can get there, and sleep outside the gate so I can get the best parking spot possible. So anybody that comes to World Cup, come by the pits, say what's up. I don't do much in between rounds. I'm pretty grateful to not have to really do anything other than maybe check a plug, change the AMS, change the two-step, and adjust the shocks. So if you guys are at World Cup, stop on by. Don't, you know, I feel like sometimes I'm at the track, I like to talk to someone and they look like they're super busy. I'm usually not busy. So stop by and say what's up if you see the car. But I'll definitely do a video between now and then. I say it every time. Maybe I'll get a video of me pulling the trans, but what's cool about that? Everybody's done seen that. So maybe I'll do some kind of video once I get the trans back from where it's going and kind of talk about what they found or what they did or what they added or what they changed. And then we'll go from there. But being that it's October 1st or 2nd today, 2nd maybe? Yeah, 2nd. I mean, I have to be at the track November 1st. So we are exactly 30 days away. It's a race that I watched for many years as a spectator. Never, ever thought I would be racing in it. I don't know why. It's not undoable or untouchable. Like, as long as your car fits the rules and meets the ET, like, you can go. So it's not like, you know, I succeeded, but I just never thought I would race at World Cup. I've been going since before I had a license, 14, 15 years old, you know, 15, 16 years ago. And it's crazy to think I'm going there and race in front of all them people. Have you looked into a deep pan for the 6R? No, I asked Brett when we first built the trans. I asked to do a nice, cool aftermarket pan, like for looks and for a drain plug if I ever needed to drain it, or if it had any performance cooling-wise. And he said no. He said he always ran the stock pan. He doesn't recommend the aftermarket one, and just for me to keep my stock one. I did recently get on Amazon and find a factory-style pan that was black with a drain plug in it. I'm going to send it with my trans when I send it out this next time and see if they would like to put it on or not. It's not OEM. It is like a Dorman or something, but it looks identical to a factory pan. So I am going to send it out. And the reason why I want the plug is to check fluid color and do fluid change. Makes it a lot easy. If anybody that has a 6R, they know how much of a pain in the ass it is. You can only check the fluid when it's running, because I think when it's off and all the fluid's in the trans, you can't pull the dipstick, because I've tried pulling the dipstick and it overflowed. So I think you have to put enough fluid in it while it's running and then put the dipstick on it and then you can't check the dipstick when it's off. So anytime you need to work on the trans, like I did my own valve body in it because I thought the valve body was bad. I did my own transmission filter once upon a time and changed the fluid in it because we were trying to chase the problem. It is a pain in the ass to pull that pan full of fluid. It is a huge mess. So I would like to have a drain pan with a drain bolt. Even if it's factory and does serve no purpose, it would be nice to have a drain bolt. So I'm going to send this one out and see if they'll put it on. As long as it's like square and flat and they don't see any problems with it, I'll send it out. Web stream, yeah. So they have, I think it's called Flow Racing. Don't quote me on that, but I think the streaming service for World Cup's Flow Racing, and you can sign up, get an account or whatever, register an email, and then you can watch the event. So it's November 2nd through the 5th. 2nd through the 6th are the actual days, but I'll be there that whole week in November. I think they usually start the live stream. I don't know if they live stream testing. So it's testing Wednesday and then qualifying Thursday, Friday, Saturday, elimination Sunday. But they might start the stream and testing, so maybe you'll see me make some test hits on Wednesday. If not, you can definitely tune into the streaming on Thursday. Pretty sure it's Flow Racing. If you go to importsversusdomestics.com or look on Facebook, Imports versus Domestics, or you go to Maryland International Raceway, you'll be able to find the link to it. Who's doing the refresh on the trans? So I covered this a little bit ago. Brett said he's busy with FL2K and getting his car ready for World Cup, and he was just in like Colorado racing and stuff. So he said he didn't want to. I'm on a time crunch. I got 3 weeks left, so 4 weeks really. Once I get back from the beach, it'll be 3 weeks. So he was like, "Hey man, I'm worried about not meeting your time, and I'm busy myself. So I'm cool with you sending out somewhere else. No hard feelings. I'll still support you and work on it down the road if you need me to. So I'm sending it to someone else. I don't want to disclose. Not that it's a big secret. I don't want to, say anything yet. Just because you never know what could happen. I don't want to get it back and then have problems and then fingers are pointed at whoever did it. But it's a reputable shop. They're well known in the 6R game as well, and they got a name for themselves, so I feel like it'll end well. But I just kind of don't want to jinx it, and I don't want to put it out there until they look at it, they give it the okay, I get it back in my hands. The last thing I want is me to name drop, and then all of a sudden it gets lost in the mail, and I don't make a World Cup, and then I'm blasting them. So we'll see when it gets back. I'll definitely talk about it and go over it when I get back. But, yeah. Brett gave me a recommendation of who he thought I should go to. But I'm going with what my tuner says. So if that gives any kind of hint, I'm going with what my tuner wants. So the trans is when I went racing in July, which is crazy to think how long it's been. The trans was good. It shifted fine. It went 490 like it was driving to the grocery store. The video's on here. It's one of the reels on here, I think, or one of the quickies or shorts I think I uploaded. That was a 116 490 pass, and the trans was great. And that's really the last time I beat on it. I'm literally just sending it out as a precaution. We were having some problems with it flaring, and we thought it was the valve body. So that's when I did the valve body myself, which was a nightmare because I've never been into a trans like that. And then I did the valve body, and the flaring did help a little bit, but it still flared some. So I'm sending it out just as a precaution of, hey, let's just get it fresh, new clutches, once over, just so it's good. So not knocking anything that Brett's done. Definitely would not have been 770s without what he's done to this trans. I'm just being safe because at World Cup, the boost is going to go up as far as I can, and I'm going to be as hard as I can on it. So just be nice to have a good trans. It'd be nice to get a sponsor for a rear. Somebody could give me a nice bolt-in G-Force 9-inch, whatever the go-to 9-inch. Drive Shaft Shop, I think, makes a 9-inch. G-Force makes a 9-inch. Be nice to get one of them next. The chassis works. Actually, I'm not even sure how this thing's going to act with a cage in it. My buddy that's kind of my crew chief or whatever that goes to the track with me, he thinks that this chassis is going to act completely different now that it's more rigid and more structured, and stuff like that. So he's not necessarily saying it's going to be a bad thing. He just thinks it's going to act different. So hopefully that's not the case and we're not starting over, but that's why I plan to test for a day at World Cup. Anything other than valve springs I should do to constantly make mid 20 pounds of boost? Head studs and valve springs. I won 790s, 25 pounds of boost, raced my car for almost 2 years, and all it had was valve springs, retainers, and head studs. Stock gaskets. So, and I did the head studs one by one. Didn't even pull the heads. I just pulled the head stud out, put the stud in. Pulled the head bolt out, put a stud in. Pulled the head bolt out, put a stud in. Everybody told me you can't do that, and you shouldn't do that. And when you do that, it messes up the gasket and all this stuff, and I'm going to blow a head gasket and yada, yada, yada. But I wasn't pulling the heads, having coolant go everywhere, making a mess, having to buy gaskets, potentially finding other problems that were wrong. So I literally just did each head bolt to a stud one by one. I did the valve springs myself, and then did the retainers myself. Did the oil pump gear. Had someone help me. Do the oil pump gears, and I did like aftermarket chains and stuff like that. But man, to answer your question, just do valve springs and head studs, and I think you're good. 20 pounds boost. I think some people have some valve spring and some valve issues at like 15, 16 pounds. So I would say anybody that's above that. Actually, I heard that Lund, I don't know who gets tuned by who in here, but I heard Lund won't even, I don't know about not tune it, but like will kind of limit you on what they will do on a turbo car if it doesn't have valve springs. So they're pretty big on noticing valve float. I might get some brakes over the winter, too. Everybody that follows me on Facebook, I'm not a TBM hater or TBM's biggest shit talker, but I'm not happy with the brakes. So I might change to some strange brakes. The new strange brakes that are coming out, I might switch up from TBM's. So this thing sounds like a car that was in 1950 with like wooden wheels and like drums when I come up to a stop at a red light. It's how noisy and terrible they sound. I got like bolts backing out of them, and the rotors look like they're hot spotted, and the best thing about them is just the calipers and the coolness look of them and the color of them. It's really, and the cool looking rotor. But I think the strange rotors look better. Yeah, 16. I mean, 16. You're at that limit of what I've read before. Again, I put valve springs. The day I did the turbo gate, I did the valve springs, so I never got to experience turbos without valve springs to have any kind of data to back up anything like that. So, but I would say you're at what I've heard. 16, 17 pounds is what you can do with factory valve springs. Palm Beach is cool. Ken's cool. I met him at Texas when he messed up his car the first time. So before he wrecked the GT500, he actually had a couple issues and transmission was messing up and it wouldn't let him drive back on the return road. And I actually went up there and pushed him back with my golf cart. And that was the first time I've ever met him. He knows that I'm a Lund guy, and he was cool. I met him at Texas, and he was a cool dude. So no bashing from me on anything that Palm Beach does. But yeah, I'm sure it holds up. He's got some cars that run good. I know he likes that GT500 stuff, so that's what all them guys are into now, him and Kelly. There's a lot of controversy on like what you should do or what can be done or what needs to be done. There's so many different ways to kind of like ask the same question. Can a bone stock Gen 2 motor or a Gen 3 motor run what I did without oil pump gears and valve springs and all that stuff? Can it? Sure, it can. Do you want to risk it? Do you potentially want to be doing 160 mile an hour in third and fourth gear going through the traps and your motor fucking blows up and puts oil under your tires and crash into the wall and kill yourself or total your car just because you didn't want to put $1,000 in parts on it? You know what I mean? Like, can it be done and should it be done is like, you'll notice once you get to a certain knowledge of these cars is like, yes, it can be done. Yes, you can roll a 2023 out the showroom and put twin turbos on it and maybe run exactly what I did. All I know is it was a peace of mind for me to know that I had oil pump gears, valve springs, head studs, chains, tensioners, good fuel, good injectors, good tuner, good suspension, and I knew that I can run a number and feel a little bit more peace of mind about it. But I do think Manuel Midnight went 780s or 790s with a stock Gen 3 without oil pump gears, so it can be done. Eventually go to Midnight and eventually get talking to a Luntoon. Yeah, I'm sure if you go there. I don't know, though, because his customers go to, like, all different places. I think the one douchebag that Boyd or whatever, I think he was tuned by Ken at one time, so I don't know if necessarily Manuel Midnight's a Lund-only thing. I think they'll let you do what you want. As long as he's making money. We all know that's like his biggest thing. I heard he's charging people now to ask him questions. Pretty crazy. Stock motor 2015 twin turbo and his boost leaf broken, actually made 22 pounds. I have heard of more problems of boost leashes than I've heard of anything. I swear to God, you maybe consider me a boost leash hater and a boost leash shit talker only because I think AMS is the best thing ever, but I actually am speaking from like knowledge of all of these cars that have had boost leashes and they failed or messed up or accidentally something happened or malfunctioned and it blew the car up. I'm telling you, like, your case is like the fifth person I've heard. There's like 2 guys on my Facebook that I'm friends with that I got like 400 friends, and there's 2 guys out of 400 that have had boost leash problems. Well, out of all the 50,000 people in the world that have boost leashes, I'm sure there's a lot more. It's crazy that controller is that like unreliable and unsafe. I would never have a boost leash on my car, ever. People will tell you they're the best and they love them and they never had a problem. Okay. All right. The one time that you overboost, see what happens. My AMS will know that it's overboosted and shut my car off, or shut the controller off. Sorry. So yeah, I am not for boost leash at all. Any experience with the Cortex? No, I've heard of people talk about them. When I bring up how bad a boost leash is, people say that Cortex is like the next best one or whatever, the kind of the one that hangs there with the boost leash. People talk highly of it. People talk about the price point of it, that it's good. So no, I'll actually not even speak on the Cortex because I've never used it, seen it, had anybody that's used it, or heard a bad story. I've heard only good things. So I would definitely go that over boost leash. Put it this way, if the AMS was priced like the leash or like the Cortex, it would be a no-brainer across the board. Everybody would say AMS. The only downside they have on the AMS is the price. But again, it's like the peace of mind and spending the money. I mean, all of us have a lot of money in these cars. Cars from the factory are 40, 50, 60 grand, you know, depending on what year and what you got. So like to spend $1,000 on a boost leash and another $1,000 on AMS, to me, it's like a no-brainer. But I also understand people are working with a budget and can't afford an AMS, can't afford an AMS. But if the prices were the same, I promise you, everybody would say AMS. It's badass. E-Boost 2, yeah, I think that's like the go-to one. I've never had an experience with that either, but I've never heard anything bad about it. I've only heard bad about Boost Leash. That company, actually, I have a little relay panel in my car from Leash Electronics, so I'm not going to say that company should go out of business, but whatever's up with that controller, they need to get figured out, because that's crazy that it blows up that many cars. So you can do it either way, open loop or closed loop, and set a target and let it do its own thing, or you can pinpoint and add the pressure that you want. Yeah, I'm adjusting PSI on a graph. You can do it many different ways. You can do it off mile an hour, RPM, speed, gear. Stick shift cars can do it many different ways. But for me, and kind of like the drag racing aspect of that controller, I just do a time graph, 10 seconds. I know that my run is normally never longer than 10 seconds. So at 0.00 to 7.7, I know for those 7.7 seconds, that's my pass, and then I can just make a graph based off of that. And then, of course, if I spin or something, or like wheelie and let out of it, then I have a couple extra seconds in it that it doesn't just like run out of boost to kind of make up, if there ever does something happen. But yes, for my car specifically, I just do a PSI on a graph. But for roll racers or street racers or other guys, you can do it many different ways. You can do it mile per hour. You can put wheel speed sensors. You can get your mile per hour from your PCM, from your computer, from your CAN bus, from your OBD port, and you can do a virtual, or you can do a mile per hour graph. At 50 mile an hour, it starts at this, and at 80 mile an hour, it's this. So there's many ways to do it. I do it the most simplest way because it works and it's easy for me. So I know that everybody likes the Boost Leash because it's so user-friendly and it's got your little screen. You just press a button and go. AMS, you got to have a laptop. But what everybody fails to realize is if once you get comfortable enough with it and you know enough about it, it does have a five dial setting that you roll racers or you street racers could build 5 different graphs, and that's your setting on the fly, just like your Boost Leash. Pretty sure, I've seen some videos of people using Boost Leashes. Pretty sure you got to go in there and go up and down and set different stuff and stuff like that. So what's the difference of you doing that or you just turning a dial to number 2, 3, 4, or 5? So it's not the most user-friendly, but it does have like a little quick, easy dial that you can adjust. How did I learn it? So Sebastian helped me get it going, pretty much. And then, weirdly enough, can't remember his name, but there's an AMS group, and I think I made a post in there, and somebody reached out to me and was like, older guy from like Nebraska or something, Idaho, some weird like state out west or whatever. And he reached out to me because he seen my post, and he was like, hey, I got an AMS. Call me with any questions. FaceTime me. Hit me up. So literally one day in the garage, I think it was like midday during the week, probably like took off work, played hooky to come here and mess with my car when I first put it together. And I called this dude, and actually what he did do is he did like a team viewer, and he could get on my laptop. And I called him, gave him access to my laptop, and he walked me through it. And without this guy's help, I would have been so fucking lost. And I can't remember. I don't know his name off the top of my head, but it's saved in my phone somewhere. But super cool dude. Didn't know me from a fucking hole in the wall and was willing to help me. And guys like that make this shit so cool. So random dude helped me, and then from then on, I'd like to say that I've been a teacher and helped other guys, but once you learn it, man, it is super easy. And I've helped other guys get theirs set up and showed them what to do and stuff like that. But if you're not doing what I do and you're not drag racing and you're not building a 10-second ramp and going off of time and stuff like that, I don't have too much insight on the whole speed at mile an hour and stuff like that because my car's not set up like that. I will one day. I would like to get into doing this controller and felt like I had to sneeze. I would like to get this controller set up to do boost different ways because when I do go out and street drive it and stuff, I only race it on the controller. Can't turn the ramp on. I got a 10-second ramp with 40 pounds of boost in it, it would just blow the tires off. So anybody that tries to roll race me out in public or like get next to me on like the Beltway, I literally have to race them on wastegates, 6-7 pounds, because I don't have the boost controller set up like that. But my car's also not set up like that either. I mean, the big tires and the suspension and stuff, like, this isn't your roll racing type car with the skinnies. Like, I wouldn't want to roll race it on the highway with the skinnies anyway. So maybe it's almost best that I don't have the controller set up like that, because it wouldn't be good for my car anyway. But that's crazy, man. The boost leash blew up another car. It's no good. I know Manuel and them guys are real big on the AMS too, so I don't have any issues with them. I think they're all douchebags, but I'm not going to get into a rant about them. I just know I heard that he's charging money and you got to pay him on Cash App or something to ask him a question. I know everybody with shops talk about that and how annoying it is. And I'm one of the guys that will ask questions at 6 o'clock at night. But if you don't want to answer, don't answer. If you're busy, don't read it. If you want to answer me during business hours, answer me tomorrow. You don't want to answer me at all, don't answer me at all. But I'm not going to pay you $5 to ask you a question. So that's pretty crazy that Manuel's got to that point. That dude's head is so big. People say, I think I got a big head. Hell no. That dude is on a different level. So, yeah, boost controller. Everybody go buy an AMS. Tell Sebastian I told you to come buy one. You can find them cheap. Sorry, cheaper than retail. I've seen used myself for $1,000, $1,500. You find someone in a pinch enough, you probably get less than $1,000. Boost controller, my definitely car would not be as fast as it is without the AMS, especially with the gears. My graph is like a ski slope for the first 2-3 seconds because I'm limping around that 1-2 shift in that first gear with the high ratio, 416 or 410 or something for first gear. So if I had a turbo 400, my graph would be like this, straight up. My graph is what you want to go snow skiing and tubing on because I'm limping around that, and that's how particular and meticulous an AMS can get. You can literally 1.10, I can have 20 pounds of boost. At 1.13, I can have 22 pounds of boost. It is so on point, it's not even funny. So I usually try to have all the boost in after the 1-2 shift. At Texas, I had all the boost in before the 1-2 shift, so it wheelied, and then the boost came in, and it did not shift and sit the tires down. It shifted during the wheelie, and that's what made it almost flip over. The AMS showed the G's you pull and make recommendations for improvements. So it can, yes, it does have a G meter, but it has to be mounted rigid to a cage in a certain direction. And since I have mine in the glove box, I have not set up any of the G meter stuff. So now that I have a cage, I'm very excited that I can get an AMS clamp and mount it rigid. I think it's kind of like a little rectangle shape kind of device. I think it needs to be a certain way and stuff. It says it all in the directions, but moral of the story is I was not able to use any of those functions because I have it at a slant sideways in my glove box. So all the G meter stuff wouldn't have worked. But now I'm excited that at one point I can do that. And they told me that if I did have that stuff set up, that it would have saved my wheelie too, because it would have knew the G's or whatever. It would have knew that I was trying to go to the moon, and maybe it would have like pulled the boost out of it or something. So not having it might have saved my car. I'll show you guys real quick. See, it's sitting kind of sideways, so I think a lot of people do it here, and then they run the wires through the console, so maybe I'll eventually put it here. But right now, it's not able really to do any of that stuff. So I got my stager, I got my scavenge pump, I got my air compressor, I have my watt box, I have my meth controller. If you unplug it. So that's what I like about it. I like that I can close it and it goes away. At the time, I did everything in there, so it was kind of more easily accessible and stuff. I think some people do it in the center console, like put the AMS down in there, run the wires through there. I've seen the stager mounted where my little AMS switch is mounted. I've seen the watt box over on the driver's side. I've seen the meth controller kind of like by the e-brake. So many different ways to do it, but I just like everything's there. I put my laptop here, I hook up to everything, and I'm done. I will say that if you have the kind of the similar setup as me with the stager and the watt box and the meth and the AMS, all that stuff needs power. It all needs switch keyed on 12 power. It all needs grounds. All my gauges, my end gauge, well, not the end gauge, but the boost controller, the oil pressure, all of it need 12-volt power. So it's easiest to do kind of like a power bar. I forget the term. I said it earlier that I have like a leash one. But it's easier to just run a 12-volt key source to a terminal, and then it has a bunch of little terminals, and you can, then do power from it. Because if I had to do like an add-a-fuse kit for all of those things, it would be crazy. So what I'm trying to say is if you have a bunch of devices that need a bunch of key-on power and grounds, get yourself one of those bars where you can just run one leg to it, and then you can, branch off of that. So that kind of helped me clean up all my wiring. Details on the intercooler. It's an Aldo 4-inch. His basic 4-inch kit. 2.5-inch cold side, 2.5-inch hot side, 3.5 cold side. Nothing spectacular. The meth is what keeps it going. Brian Luna, Mexico Racing League, has been 690s with a 4-inch. I actually was going to buy a 6-inch once upon a time, and Aldo talked me out of it and said something about like pressure drop and something that would actually technically might hurt me and lose power. This was on the 64s at the time and the stock motor, so maybe now it would benefit me. I don't know, but he actually talked me out of it. He said, I can get $1,600 from me and sell you one right now. He's like, but I think you'll be all right with the 4-inch. Just do meth. And Brian's car has had a 4-inch. It might have changed it now, but it's had a 4-inch with meth, and they've done really well. So just a basic Aldo 4-inch intercooler, whatever he sells with his kit off the shelf, nothing special. I think the 6s look cool. I don't know if you can. I think you got to. Do you have to delete a bumper support or delete the condenser? Maybe it's the condenser. I don't know. Someone told me when you do a 6-inch, since it's so much thicker, you got to make the room up somewhere. Because my 4-inch barely fits. So the 6-inch, you might have to do something to make it fit. So that's probably another reason why I haven't got one. But until my IAT is a problem, until John's like, hey, your IATs, even with 2,000 cc's of meth, are a problem. It's robbing power from you. It's making you go slower. You need a 6-inch intercooler. I'm not buying one. I think in July, when I did race it, on the video that I posted, when I did race it in July and it was like 100 degrees out, he did say something about my IATs. He didn't necessarily say that they were killing me. He just said, your IATs are getting up there, like, it's hot. Like, you're not going to go fast with what you're trying to do today. Just stop. Went 490s. I think I was just trying to go 480s. And he pretty much said, like, just let the weather help you versus trying to do it more. Gen 2, you have to cut room in the bumper. Gen 3, it fits. Yeah, see, I knew something like that. So probably another factor of why I don't have a 6-inch. I like my stock front bumper with my lethal OEM cut grills with like the honeycomb cut out of it. I like the way my front end looks just as it sits, so I really don't want to mess it up. I was upset that after the wheelie in Texas, I had to do those little bumper pins on the side because I hate those, but luckily I found blue ones and they kind of blend in. You don't see them, but it broke the notorious tabs on each side, so I had to do the little quick clips. But I like the way my car looks. I think a drag wing would be cool. I'm sure it helps. some way, somehow to plant the tire downforce in the rear or something, but I like my carbon fiber trunk too much to do a drag wing. But when I see like some crazy chute set up with a big, nice, painted to match drag wing, I'm like, damn, that looks cool. But I like my little Anderson duckbill thing. All this Anderson stuff is like going around so much now. There's so many cars out there with the doors and the trunk and the fenders, and I'm not knocking it. It's what it is. People are gonna spend their money and do what they want, but damn, I would like to be a little bit different from everybody. And I feel like everybody is doing the doors and the trunk and everything. So everybody's always asked me why I didn't get them painted, because I like the look of it. But maybe if it comes to a point to where everybody has all these carbon fiber parts, maybe I'll paint them to match and go back to a stock appearing car. I do kind of miss when it was one color. So, all right, 83 minutes, holy shit. Thanks for watching, dudes. And any girls if they were in here. Doubt it, though, but keep commenting and liking and stay with the channel. I know I watch a lot of different channels, and I get happy or whatever. I get interested when I can get online and get a new update every day and see Cletus's video. Dude pumps out so many videos, it's not even funny. And I can understand how hard it would be to probably try to follow someone that doesn't upload every day and you don't see or hear from a month. That's why I always try to kind of post on the little community spot where just make a picture to let you know that I'm still here and I didn't sell the car or anything. But if you guys can hang in, I hope one day eventually I can find someone that gets down with the video and can edit, and I'll pay someone to come to World Cup. If the opportunity happens and somebody comes up to me and says, hey, man, at World Cup, $500, I'll video this whole experience for you. Done. Sold. I just doubt I'm going to find somebody to do that. And I doubt my little ass one-man band with my buddy that helps me is going to be able to video and race. So I'm hoping I do get some footage, but if you guys can stick it out and stick around with the channel, maybe someday I'll have some better content and some more editing. So peace out, everyone, man. Thanks again for watching. Hopefully it was a little bit of knowledge and some experience and some questions answered. Hopefully the video saves for the people that didn't get to watch. See you guys.